Coming up in today's video, we're talking about a huge announcement from WWE. Also, we're going to be talking about AEW, Kenny Omega, new faction in WWE, Vince McMahon, everything you guys want to know. I got the answers to in today's video. All right, so here's the thing, guys. We're going to kick things off with Kenny Omega. This was a tweet that was put out from Don Callis on Twitter. Our focus is back. Be afraid. Now, we obviously know that Kenny Omega's contract could be up soon. There's been tons of reports that suggest that his contract could be expiring soon, and he could potentially be interested in WWE. This is where things get really interesting. Now, if AEW is bringing back the cleaner Kenny Omega on television with Don Callis, I think that is a great idea, and there's a couple reasons why. One, AEW has already kind of been teasing Hangman and the Young Bucks coming back together, so that might be something that happens soon. Plus, Kenny Omega, AEW, they need somebody to create these really big-time feuds for MJF. Kenny Omega, Don Callis being a guy to feud with MJF could be really significant and really helpful to the company's TV ratings and just the overall support for the company. But also, you got to remember, Kenny Omega's contract is reportedly expiring soon. Tons of people are speculating Kenny Omega could be an option for WWE. And look, WWE has Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns together. AEW doesn't have anything like that. You could kind of do something like that if you want. Try to make Kenny Omega feel like the final boss of AEW. Plus, with Don Callis by his side, it's just a perfect match. They did a lot of great things together when he was the belt collector a few years ago. But also, just imagine if Kenny Omega were to go to WWE, Tony Khan could be giving up Kenny Omega and Don Callis, so that way they could do feuds with Seth Rollins and John Cena and Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, and just so many big names in WWE could potentially work with Kenny if Kenny were to go to WWE. If you're Tony Khan, you don't want that to happen, so maybe this is the start of a massive singles role for Kenny Omega going forward, and that is something I would support. I think Kenny Omega is great in AEW, but I did, in particular, enjoy watching The Cleaner and Don Callis together. I thought that was great, especially when he went to Impact. Lots of great things. Can't wait to see what happens next. Guys, this is a photo that was posted on Instagram. If you follow me on Twitter, I already shared it with my audience on Twitter, but MVP posted this photo, really crazy. It's him, Omos, Carmelo Hayes, and the Street Profits backstage at WWE Raw at the TD Garden in Boston, Massachusetts. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with what's going on here, there have been tons of tweets to MVP in recent months about the new Hurt Business, and MVP pretty much got pissed at a lot of people, and I'm not sugarcoating it. He was not very happy with people who were saying, look, man, this is the new Hurt Business. And basically MVP was saying just because all these guys are black doesn't mean they should all be in the Hurt Business. But then MVP posted this photo of all of these guys together, which were the guys that were typically suggested to MVP should be part of the Hurt Business. So it seems like MVP is definitely working everybody here, but we all know to some sort of extent that there is going to be a new WWE faction. We've seen Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin reunite together. There's rumors of Montez Ford going solo. There's rumors of Carmelo Hayes coming up to the main roster after Stand and Deliver. Omos is working against Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. Whatever WWE is up to with this new faction, whoever's in it, whoever's not in it, I don't know. I don't care. I'm just excited to see that they are looking at doing something special here. Look at all of these people in this photo. They're all talented. And I know sometimes people give shit to Omos because he's not this guy that's doing flips and whatever, but Omos is so good in the ring as a giant. For what a giant needs to do in the ring, he does it well. And he's improved, and he's starting to show even a little bit more personality and aggression in the ring, and he's great. And I like the fact that he's paired with MVP. And we don't know what's going to happen with Bobby Lashley and Bray Wyatt. So I'm just saying this is something to really pay attention to because WWE could be building something really cool here, and I'm super excited about it. As far as these individuals being together, like I said, MVP was not happy with people on Twitter calling for all of these guys to be part of the Hurt Business. But then again, he posts this photo. Seems like he's just having fun with everybody on social media. But it's going to be very interesting to see what happens next. Guys, we got to talk about Vince McMahon, who is reportedly backstage. This photo of Vince McMahon is absolutely fake, by the way. That is not his real mustache. Fightful Select had reported that Vince McMahon was backstage at WWE Raw. And Twitter freaked the hell out. Discord freaked the hell out. Everybody was so scared to see what was going down with Vince McMahon. And then we got conflicting reports about what Vince McMahon is actually doing in WWE. So I'm going to talk about it in this video. It was said that Vince McMahon, based on the talent that Fightful spoke to, talent said that Vince McMahon came back with darker hair. So his hair was dyed and he had a mustache. And that is actually really crazy. A lot of people said he did look physically well. And most people were saying pretty positive things about the Vince McMahon backstage interaction. With that being said, Sean Ross did report today that McMahon being at the show caused more of a stir online than he did in person among those at the show because talent felt that it was just a matter of time before he was backstage at a show anyways. It was said that McMahon's physical appearance turned heads because he had dyed his hair and had a small mustache, which several talent described as resembling that of Gomez Addams from the Addams Family. Okay, that's a crazy visual, by the way. His appearance at the event was heavily discussed. One person in WWE who has known McMahon for 20 years stated that it was more drastic and a shock than him getting his head shaved. Although several photos of Vince McMahon have been going around, all of them are fake because no real ones have come out. Dave Meltzer did report that Vince McMahon was in the gorilla position throughout the night, but also added, Fightful also added that is true, but Vince McMahon was not shy about saying hello and greeting talent. So Vince McMahon visited John Cena backstage. He was not involved with creative. He was not involved with working on the show. And then he was greeting talent backstage. Now, this is where things get really crazy and interesting at the same time. WrestleVotes says that Vince McMahon is not involved in creative whatsoever. He hasn't been involved in creative whatsoever. He might push for certain things, but Triple H already admitted that to us. Paul Triple H Levesque came out and publicly said, hey, maybe Vince McMahon wants something. You know, we take all ideas into consideration, but Triple H is the final answer. Fair enough. Worked Wrestling on Twitter, the new account that keeps talking about some big news that have actually happened, says that Vince McMahon was backstage and has been involved a lot more in creative than anybody actually knows. So we're getting conflicting reports on Vince McMahon's actual role. As far as that goes, I thought Raw was very solid. Seems like public opinion also agrees. So we'll see what happens next. But nonetheless, Vince was not running creative. Vince was just there hanging out with some friends. And yeah, it is what it is. I think he's allowed to do that. He owns the company. And guys, with that being said, WWE did make a major announcement on WWE Raw last night. They announced their return to Saudi Arabia for WWE King and Queen of the Ring. Now, as you guys know, I have been following the story about what they might potentially do before it actually happens. Triple H's WWE is going back to Jeddah, Saudi Arabia at the Jeddah Superdome May 27th, and they're competing with AEW that weekend, guys. Double or Nothing is taking place on, I believe, Sunday or Saturday night. I can't remember exactly, but the same weekend. It is happening on the same weekend. We're getting Saudi Arabia's King and Queen of the Ring pay-per-view. Then we're getting AEW Double or Nothing. This is going to be absolutely insane. WWE does not want Labor Day and Memorial Day weekend ever being a thing that is just simply AEW's weekend. So now WWE is doing some really big things. There's also rumors that NXT could be having a event that weekend as well, which would make sense. If you're the WWE, how big is this? Well, it's huge because King and Queen of the Ring is coming back and Triple H is booking it, and it's said to be a big difference maker this year compared to previous years. It's also rumored that any potential sale to WWE from WWE to Saudi Arabia's public investment fund could be announced at this time of the year. So we could be in for a even bigger announcement, but there is a lot of significance between this announcement for WWE at this big arena in Saudi Arabia. With that being said, guys, I'm going to keep you guys updated along the way for more news, rumors, and analysis. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.